Well, hello everybody. Thank you for joining me once again. Today's video is going to be focusing on my goals and how I have arrived at the particular goals that I set up each month. And so to do that, I was asked to show how I actually plan my goals each month. And to do that, I need to kind of tell you how I got to that point. So I was reading a couple of books. One of them was called Living a Level 10 Life, and the other one was called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And that was an incredible book. I highly recommend it. These are my notes from that book. And basically what it is, fully commit to whatever it is you're wanting to do, fully commit to it, and incorporate this routine in your daily life. And this is what I had set up for myself, but you basically do the savers: silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And I figured I could commit an hour a day to doing these things. In the book, Hal recommends doing them in the morning and starting your day off fresh. I, however, am not and never have been a morning person. So I make sure I do these throughout the day. The one area I always fail on consistently is exercise. I have replaced that with stretching. I do stretch, but exercise, not so much. So that's my own demon that I've been fighting my entire life. But anyway, so, and these are just some notes that I took regarding that thing. And a couple of things that I wanted to just focus on with this is, he was saying in there, everything happens for a reason. It's up to us to choose that reason. And we can choose our own attitude on a daily basis. And so one of my goals is I choose to be happy every day. I have been doing this now for about, I want to think it's maybe 6 or 7 months. And I have to tell you, it really has changed my outlook on life, and it goes so much further beyond that because, that was my dog just hacking up a hairball, I think. I apologize. But anyway, back to this. It has manifested its way throughout various areas in my life, having a positive attitude and manifesting good things in my life. It truly, truly has changed my life. So again, I strongly recommend this book. A couple of other things is it recommends having an accountability coach. I did in the beginning. I had a friend who read the book with me, and we were holding each other accountable. But life goes on and things change, and so we haven't been doing that too much. But it did really help in the beginning. We haven't been doing it, these last few months. And you want to focus on what you're becoming rather than what you are doing. So that's been life-changing for me as well. The other thing is, the bad things that happen in our lives, this is his philosophy. And if you knew this man, I think this would really impact you as well. He's had a really, really tough life. And do you know, just recently he was diagnosed with cancer, and he's continued doing his videos and everything from the hospital, getting his chemo treatments. He's just such an inspiration because going through all that, he's still so positive and grateful for every day. I mean, really, I can't say enough good things about this. If you want to make changes in your life, and maybe perhaps you're not real happy with who you are at this point in your life, read this book. It's a short read. It's really thin. I highly recommend it. But the premise of the entire book is to be committed at a level you've never been committed to before and do whatever it takes to truly reach your potential. So that is partly why I set up my monthly goals and I hold myself accountable to them. And I made... so I also read a book called Living a Level 10 Life. And in there, it had this assessment. And so I honestly, there's a whole bunch of questions. I don't have them in here, but there's a whole bunch of questions you ask yourself about the various areas in your life. And then you decide what you want to focus on, and then you assess yourself regularly, like 3 or 4 times a year, quarterly ideally, and to see how you're improving. So I took the first assessment 11/3/2016, and the pink is where I rated myself then, in those various areas. And I just want to explain this one thing about career. I've been doing my type of work for over 20 years. So I feel pretty good in where I am in my career. However, my business that I do on the side, that's just starting up. So that's why that part is lower. So anyway, I assessed myself in November, then I assessed myself again in March, and the yellow is where I assessed myself again. So you can see in several areas I didn't think I made any progress. Finance is something I've struggled with my entire life. Not making money, but saving money and spending responsibly. I feel anybody could pull out a Freudian card and self-analyze or analyze me. But I can pretty much tell you my philosophy has always been, I can't take it with me, so I'm going to enjoy it while I have it. But I do recognize the importance of a savings, and so that's one of the things that I work on. It's in my goals each month. Romance, I was divorced 6 years ago. I have no desire to explore that area right now, so I haven't moved in that area. And health and fitness, at the time I took the second assessment, it just hadn't clicked in me yet, to start making some improvement in that area. I'm happy to say that when I do my next assessment, I can actually show some progress there. And then the environment, what I meant there is I'm a real introvert, so I'm a homebody as a result of being an introvert. I'm not shy, don't confuse the two. For those of you that aren't necessarily aware, being an introvert just means that you think inwardly, you're very introspective. And being around a lot of people is actually quite exhausting to me. Now, yes, I go into work, I work with people all day long, but at the end of the day, I need to be by myself to rejuvenate, right? To replenish my fuel. Whereas an extroverted individual, it doesn't mean that they're, gregarious and loud and all that kind of stuff, because I'm kind of that way with people that know me. But being an extrovert means that you actually replenish your energy by being around other people. So that's very energizing for extroverts to be around a bunch of people. Whereas for me, if I'm around a bunch of people, I'll find, a wall somewhere and get real close to it. So anyway, environment, I'm comfortable with my environment, and I'm not really trying to improve on that area. I know who I am. At my age, I know who I am. So anyway, level 10 life, taking the assessment, and figuring out the areas that I wanted to personally grow in. So now that takes me to the monthly goals that I set up. And I only have April in this planner forward, so let me just kind of show you each month. Each month I just visualize it a little bit differently, but I have my main areas. These are the areas that I assess myself on, right? The only one that isn't in that list is reading books. And I had set the goal, I wanted to read, a certain number of books in a year. In 2016, I read, I think it was like 30 books. 30 books in 2016. I read 30 books. Okay, so I set myself a goal in 2017. I wanted to read 50 books. Well, that means I've got to read 3 to 4 books a month. I was doing okay on that until I started this new job, and I'm going to have to refocus my goal on that, or reassess my goal on that. It's not necessarily realistic with my new job, but we'll see. If it's still a priority for me, I can find other ways to read audiobooks on the plane, because I have to travel monthly, so audiobooks, that kind of a thing. I could still reach that goal if I decide that is something I still want to pursue. Or I can knock it down. I still want to read. I don't want to stop reading, but I can knock it down to, 1 or 2 books a month, or whatever's reasonable with my new job. So anyway, each month I have my top categories that I'm focusing on. Now you'll notice in the assessment, it's not a one-for-one necessarily, because in the assessment I had environment, and because I had it already ranked high and I'm not necessarily trying to change that, I don't have it on here. But the things that I did want to improve upon, I do have listed here. So I've got my personal relationships with family and friends, my career, my health, the things that I'm passionate about. I feel like everything spins off of my spirituality, of course the reading, my side business, my contribution, and finance. And each month when I do my, ask myself those questions, and I do an honest self-assessment how I did the previous month, that's what drives my goals for the next month. So, for example, in April, I've highlighted the ones that I felt I did well on, but the ones that I did not do well on, in the following month, I tried to place more emphasis on those areas. And I actually did improve on those areas, but I fell short in some other areas. What I'm discovering with these is it's a lot to focus on, right? I've set a number of goals for myself. And what I'm discovering is I may not necessarily make progress in all of my goals every month. So the goals that I felt that I could improve upon in April, that I made a higher priority in May, I did actually improve upon those. But the areas that I did well on in April, I didn't necessarily do as well in May, if that makes sense. But overall, I'm hoping that when I take my next assessment, overall, I should have marked that page because I keep flipping for it, but overall, I am going to show improvement when I take my next assessment. And again, ultimately with the goal of reaching a level 10 life. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight. It might take the rest of my lifetime. I may never get to a level 10 life, but I definitely feel better now than when I started this in November of 2016. So my goals that I set up for June are based on the honest assessment I took in at the end of May, which I answered all these questions about for myself yesterday. And I'm not going to show them to you because again, I'm very honest with myself and I answered them honestly, and I'm not necessarily wanting to share that with the world. But these are the areas that I want to focus on. Instead of 3 to 4 books a month, I decided it's realistic. I can still read 2 or 3 books a month, and I'm gonna have to use Audible books when I'm traveling to try to stay on track with that. If I find at the end of June that that's not realistic, then I'll re-examine that goal and maybe, lower it. I don't want to get rid of it because that's still a priority for me, but I do have to be realistic because my life has changed somewhat with this new job. Friends and family, even though I have really done well with achieving these goals, they're still a very high priority for me, so I'm leaving them on there. I want to make sure I contact my loved ones weekly. I want to call them. I want to send cards, and I'm trying to visit frequently. My family and friends are all over the country, all over the United States. So I can't afford to go every month, but I'm trying to visit friends and family regularly. Last month I went to Denver. first part of July, I'm going to California. I want to get Maine in here pretty quick, and Florida. So I got a lot going on, but that is very important to me. And you know, I have to say, when I was younger, it was all about me, right? That's the typical young person's attitude. It was all about me, and developing and strengthening my friendships, or excuse me, my relationships with friends and family. It wasn't so important, but it's important to me now. Okay, I still consider my spirituality my central focus for everything. Everything stems off of my spirituality, and I tell you, my life has changed since I have started making this a focus. Now, for those of you that aren't necessarily, you know, Christian or anything, spirituality doesn't necessarily have to mean your relationship with God. It can be whatever, you know, is important to you and what you do in your life. For me, it was important that I start giving back. I don't attend church. You know, you might be surprised to hear that, but I don't attend church. I have in the past. I was regular at one point. Some things happened that kind of spoiled my thinking on that. I may get back to church at some point, but right now I'm not there. So I try to make sure to do my daily Bible study, and you know, it's very important for daily prayer. This daily gratitude, this goes back to the savers from the Miracle Morning. Daily gratitude. Every day, be grateful for something. You'll find that if you focus on what's negative in your life, that's what's going to manifest and come back to you. If you focus what's good in your life, that's what you're going to manifest, and that's what's going to come to you. And this is so true. My life has greatly improved since I have incorporated this attitude. And I choose to be happy every day. I choose to be happy. Some days are easier than others, but I choose to be happy every day. And of course, I want to make encouraging others part of my daily routine as well. So when I'm having these conversations, I think about this stuff, right? I really try to not make it all about me, but to actually actively listen and be that person for my family and friends. I'm really, it's a change from the inside out, guys. That's all I can say, and that's what I've been working on. This isn't something I've shared with any of you in the past, but I'm doing it now because I was asked to do it, and I'm happy to do so. I just ask that you not pass any judgments. This is just something that's important to me, and you can take from it what you will or leave it all behind. But again, this is what's important to me. All right. So in my career, I had some different goals previous to this, but I achieved one of them. So I changed my goals a little bit, and now it's not about getting a new job that fully utilizes my skills and experience that I've gained over the years in my education. Now it's focusing on the new job. I want to accept new challenge that comes to me. I want to learn and grow, and I want to network. So those are my new career goals. My business, this is my side business having to do with card making and YouTube videos, etc. So I want to post at least twice a week. I did have that at 3 times a week. With a new job, it's pretty difficult. So I reevaluated and said, okay, 2 times a week is going to be good for me at this time. I want to be sure to do at least 1 card making video, 1 calligraphy video, and 1 art journal video a month. That's what I am striving for. And of course, as a result, I want to increase my followers. In finance, I want to increase my savings. I want to limit my spending. This is something other than craft supplies. And I usually do pretty good about that one. Where I fall short repeatedly is craft supplies. Like I said, it is a drug. That's all I can say. I love getting new craft supplies, and I get all excited about making something with them. So that's a tough one for me. And anyway, I have a debt payoff plan that I'm also following as well. I'm not horribly in debt, but I've got credit cards just like everybody else, so I want to get those suckers paid off. In health, I'm sticking with these goals. I am making progress on them, and I want to continue to make them a high priority. And then my passions, you know, I want to make sure that I continue planning and calligraphy and card making and journaling and doing my art. Those are important to me. That's what keeps me, I think, a well-rounded, and that's where I find my joy. So these are my goals. This is how it all ties together with the level 10 assessment and the questions that I ask myself each month. So now when you see these questions, maybe it kind of makes sense now, because I know I've talked about these questions before, but now that I've given you the entire story, they might make more sense. So each month I celebrate my top 10 achievements, you know, not only in reaching these particular goals, that's why I highlight them, the ones that I do really well with, but also major achievements too. You know, like for example, recently for me, you know, landing that new job, that was a major achievement for me. I had to, you know, work for that baby, and so that went on here. What did I learn about myself? When I'm going through my list of goals and I'm highlighting the ones that I did well in, it also brings forward in my mind the ones that I did not do well in. And so I'm constantly learning about myself when I am evaluating how I did against my monthly goals. And I really don't think I could do it any less frequently than monthly. I think it would fall off the priority list for me, and I wouldn't do it. I have to do it monthly. People I learned from and was inspired by. Sometimes I surprise myself with what I come up with on here, because on a daily basis we run into so many people, and now that I look for things that I'm grateful for on a daily basis, sometimes it's so simple as that stranger I talked to in the grocery store, and the story they told me, how it impacted me or changed my way of thinking. Different things come out when I'm answering this question, and if I hadn't put any thought to it, I think the importance of those moments would have just gone by unnoticed. The greatest insights I've gained about myself in the past month, this is always very telling for me, and it's usually based on what obstacles and fears I encountered internally, and then answering how I felt about my progress. And on this one, I try not to be too hard on myself, because as long as I'm making progress, I am making steps forward. I don't always want to focus on the things that I did not accomplish. That's why the achievement part is here too, right? So we want to celebrate what we did achieve. We did make some progress, but there's still room for improvement in order to reach that level 10 life. So there you go. That's how it all comes into play. I hope I have answered your questions thoroughly regarding the monthly goals and how I do those and plan for those monthly. If not, please feel free to ask your questions in the description area below. Or in the comments below the description, excuse me, and I will answer them as honestly as I can. I have always been very forthright in my videos, so I look forward to hearing from you all. I hope you've maybe gain some inspiration from this in addressing some areas in your life that you might want to improve, some things that you might want to change. But I can honestly say that the person I am now, I like so much better than the person I was, when I was 20, when I was 30. I definitely like who I am more now as a person from the inside out, because I have made the conscious decision to change those things about me that I'm not particularly fond of. And you can see the areas that I focus on are not, necessarily looks or my hair or how I do my makeup. I'm a woman, I do all that stuff too. These are the things that I want to focus on in my life: spirituality, my passions, my business and career, my relationships. So if you choose to do something like this, it doesn't have to be like this. Look at your life and what matters most to you. It may be very, very, very different, but it has to be right for you. All right, with that, I've got to end this video. Again, I hope you got something out of this. and were somewhat inspired. And I'd love to hear from you if you do start something like this, and what you think about it, and how it might be impacting your life. Okay, everybody, thank you, and as usual, I wish you a wonderful and blessed day. Take care. Bye-bye.